Coming up on today's show, we talk about how many ROs should a service advisor write. We also answer a question from an up-and-coming service manager, and we ask our editor, Michael, to describe different parts on a car to make a bigger point. I'm Chris Collins, this is Christian Lafferty, and that's what's coming up on Service Drive Revolution. I got to keep my phone right there because my little brother's in jail. Have you ever had somebody call you from jail?
No.
So this is a new experience for me.
Okay.
But they call you collect, but it's not collect like you're used to collect, like where you can just say, yeah.
You have to go through a system.
Yeah, so they say there's a, guest or whatever from whatever jail. And then
from the LA County Jail.
It says, if you'd like to accept this call, and then you hit 1, and then it says, okay, it's going to be like, 40 cents a minute plus a $7 connection charge plus a this plus a that. Please enter your credit card. It doesn't save your credit card. So and you don't know when he's going to call, right? So if he randomly calls, you have to have your wallet and credit card ready to go and put it in. Or it times out, and then you can't talk to him.
And then he doesn't get another chance at the phone for a while, probably.
Right.
Holy cow.
So you have to watch. So we're watching. If he calls, you can hear my little brother in jail. I don't know if he'd want to be on speaker or not. It also tells you that they record it. So, like, if you're talking about anything shady,
yeah,
there's somebody there listening. Like,
I would assume people still try, like, to speak in code in sorts.
What do you think jail is like? It's like I'm not excited about
constricting is the word that comes to mind. Like we were talking on a previous episode about quarantine. I feel like quarantine and jail are probably close to each other, except bars are involved in the jail thing.
I never felt during quarantine like I was in jail.
Well, I think this Canadian quarantine is closer to jail.
Walk.
Not in the Canadian quarantine.
Oh, yeah, but I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I wouldn't do that.
But I do think that that's like jail. It's
I'd figure out a way around that, or I'd walk through the woods. From the state of Washington, there's
ways, I have the feeling.
There's hundreds of miles of...
They can't guard everything.
There's no border patrol like down on the Mexican border.
Right.
Like, you could fly a helicopter over.
Yeah.
Like, I could get in there. I'm not going to do that, but I'm just saying, I'm not sitting in a hotel room for 14 days.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. I thought you meant like normal quarantine.
No, I meant the actual.
So you brought up a good point the other day, and we're going to prove this.
Okay.
In a social experiment right here on the show, barring I don't get a collect call from a jail in Oregon.
It'll make for great podcasting though.
You were talking about how advisors talk to customers like they know about the car.
Yeah.
They talk about the part, the labor, the this, the that, and customers are just like, I want the light to go off.
Yes, that's exactly what they're saying.
Will it turn my check engine light off if you replace the blah, 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 blah. So we have an amazing crew team here, but for the most part, they don't come from the automotive industry, right? So we're going to bring Michael on, and we're going to ask him different things about a car to see if he knows. Now, he's just a normal, cool guy to hang out with. He's edited a lot of our videos in the last couple of years, so he's done the leadership training, the advisor, he is around the lingo. Also, it's funny when some of our employees take their cars in for service, they always feel like they need to come back and report to us
we hear
how
about
terrible it is. What a pain in the ass it is, and how terrible it is. And one of the dealerships that they go to that's terrible actually has our online training.
That sucks. But
they're clearly not watching.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Michael, can you come over so we can do this social experiment?
I would say that he probably has a better than average understanding of the business when we look at our normal customer base.
Yes, I would agree. Better than average.
Hello. Here I am.
So, just to recap, Christian is going to mention a part on a car, and then you're going to tell us what that part does, what purpose it serves, whatever you can imagine about the part.
Right.
Yeah, I'll give you my best guess.
And these things that I'm about to mention, I've heard personally service advisors telling customers that they need this thing without further explanation.
Yeah.
Okay?
Just like the customer would know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Michael,
Right.
the first part I would like you to describe is a CV boot.
What do you think a CV boot is?
A CV boot.
Yeah.
Okay, well, first I kind of need to know what the CV is, but I'm going to take a guess. I want to say a CV boot is some sort of cap that goes at the end of the CV. The CV being the long, like tube that's coming out of the, like the radiator, I want to say.
Okay.
Right, and that's where the CV boot, which is this rubber cap, goes on there and stops
You
the
gave him the answers before.
fumes from
told
coming
him.
out.
That's 100% what it is.
Oh yeah?
See, I didn't think you'd be good at this. Okay, what's the next one?
What?
Come on, it's a tube coming out of the radiator.
Yeah, that's
Clearly.
what it is.
What's the next one?
I can't wait to see how this answer goes.
By the way, at some point I'd like to know what these things are.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay, great.
You have to approve it first, obviously, and then we'll tell you what it is that you spend
Tell
all
you
your
this,
money
a
on.
CV boot's about $400.
Depends. I've seen some a little bit more.
Rubber's pretty expensive. It's a
Yeah.
That's right.
don't know.
It's a
So
product
you're
of oil.
assuming the boot's made out of rubber,
yeah. That's what I'm assuming. I'm pretty confident.
not leather.
Nope. It's
Michael,
yeah.
your next part I need you to explain to me that you need for your vehicle is a TIP'em.
A tip'em?
A tip'em?
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay.
Is he thinking about Vegas and a strip club or something? What are you
tip'em.
doing? What was that weird
I think
laugh?
he's trying to decide if I made this up or not.
Oh, is that
It's a real part.
okay? Tip them. Okay. This is like this is a bolt. It's like a rubber bolt, and it screws on the end. The tip screws on the tip. The end of the of one of the bolts in the engine that's holding all the pistons together. You know that piece that where the pistons go down. It's holding that entire compartment. I don't know what it's called. The
cylinder wall?
yeah. It's holding that together. It's
holding the cylinder wall
bolt,
together.
The bolt itself is holding it together, and this tip'em is at the very end of it, keeping everything tight.
Once again, it's like you gave him the answer.
It is. Like, I don't know if you read that right out of an automotive journal or some sort of repair manual, but
Yeah.
it's impressive
And
how
to use it
how
in a
accurate it
sentence,
is.
they would say, "I'm sorry, but the tip'em is loose."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Heard that before. Now, the last one, I think this is probably when he's going to ace this.
By the way, I don't know what a tip'em is.
I'll explain in a little bit. We'll get all three of them together, right? So, the last thing I need you to describe for me, what is the knuckle?
Okay, what is the knuckle? The knuckle. I'm trying to think. I'm like picturing an engine in my brain. I'm trying to think of what part could be the knuckle.
Yeah.
Or actually, it
maybe-
doesn't even have to be the engine, right?
Yeah,
It's
don't
just,
assume it's the engine.
right, it's just the car.
He goes to the engine though regularly.
Yeah.
Like
Well, when
he's-
I think-
it's
Could
clear that Michael
Could
thinks
be
that's
part
the
of the
most
sunroof.
I think the engine is a pivotal part of the car. That's,
But so is the sunroof.
That's true. The knuckle. I want to say the knuckle has something.
No joke, we just missed the call.
I'm so sorry.
My rantings
Clowning around.
has caused this.
Another night in jail.
Sorry, buddy.
Oh, that's rough. Anyways, back to the knuckle. The knuckle is, I want to say it has something to do with the door. Like it's like a piece of metal that's in the door that is when you open the door, you like pull on the thing. It activates the knuckle. The knuckle opens up the door and opens it up.
So it's part of the mechanism that makes the door open.
Yeah.
Once again,
Yeah.
like it's like he has a crystal ball.
Good at this. He's
Yeah,
amazingly good at
you
this.
pull the handle, it activates the knuckle. The knuckle pulls the pin out of the door, unlocks it, open up the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
how much is a knuckle usually?
Oh, I can answer that. They usually go for about $450, but if they give you a deal, you could probably get it down to $350, $375.
Well, they're knocking $100 off, just like they're
He's in
giving you a
the-
discounted knuckle.
% discount
Yeah,
land.
it's the.
Do you care about the quality of the knuckle part?
I'd say so.
Or could it just be any old knuckle?
No. You want like a name brand knuckle.
Would you ever put a used knuckle in?
Probably not.
You know, a lot of people
I've
like
actually had that happen
they
before.
use used CV boots.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
I think after a few years, you got to replace the knuckle. I don't think they last very long.
No, doors open and shut all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes it gets stuck, and when the knuckle gets stuck, that's another $100.
Okay, so let's start at the top.
Okay.
CV boot stands for constant velocity boot. This is actually this thing that's at the end of your axle, which plugs in to make your wheels turn. It's like this big, nasty grease-filled thing that keeps everything clean while the wheel is turning from the axle. Okay?
there's like a joint there
Right.
that holds the grease around it.
It holds grease
Yeah,
onto the
Around
axle.
it. So it has like a metal. It'll have like a metal fastener on each side.
yeah.
But it's just rubber. So if a rock hits it or anything, it starts to leak that grease out. So on Subarus, when I was a service advisor, CV boots were plentiful.
Yeah, in my day, they cracked all the time. Did you have that happen?
Yeah.
Where they just dry cracked?
But they also just get hit by a rock. Or whatever.
But I wasn't far off. It is made out of rubber, right?
It definitely made out of rubber, and it is
And
a
it-
tip.
Yeah, but
Like it's the top of something,
yeah,
right?
and connected to the radiator.
Yeah.
Now, one that you didn't do so well with was a TIPM, which I've heard this word used a lot in the last couple of weeks. TIPM stands for Totally Integrated Power Module. Now, here's the funny thing is I don't care what TIPM stands for. What it is, it's the fuse block. Like it's where all your fuses are. So instead of saying that, we say TIPM to the customer who has no idea what that means.
What does
had
it
no
stand
idea
for
what that
again?
meant.
Yeah.
What's the acronym?
Totally Integrated Power Module.
So you were
Okay.
close in the door.
Totally
No,
integrated.
the door is the knuckle.
Oh.
And then the knuckle is part of the front suspension, actually where there could be rear on independent suspension too, but this is where a lot of the suspension components in the front sit,
On the knuckle?
on the knuckle.
They sit.
And it kind of connects the suspension to the wheel area.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I've seen used knuckles used.
Where exactly is the knuckle?
It's going to be it's going to be at the outboard positions just behind the wheels.
Right. Behind the boot.
Actually, I would say it would be above the boot.
Above the boot.
Yep. It's more to hold cradle suspension components in place.
Give Michael a hand though. That
was pretty awesome.
That was pretty funny.
Well,
Pretty funny.
I tried my best.
You did good. I like it. Can you help me here? So Automotive News had an article, and how would you pronounce this writer's name?
Urvaksh Karkaria.
Wrote an article in Automotive News talking about how last year's inconvenience of COVID
Yep.
increased service satisfaction numbers. So service departments had higher customer satisfaction during the pandemic, and it's saying because of lower RO count, spending more time, being more accommodating, picking up cars, all that, right? All the stuff that we know. Isn't that funny?
Weird.
But hey, maybe our industry's stepping up in a time of need.
Yeah, I would say so. A lot of lessons to be brought out of that article.
Brings me to the question of the day.
Okay.
How many ROs should a service advisor write?
Well, I have a formula in my head. I feel like you go up to the advisor and you ask them, you say, okay, Chris, how many ROs do you think you can write a day?
25.
Okay, I'm going to divide that number by 3. You can write 8 ROs.
I love that. That's your formula? Is it always by 3?
Yeah.
What if they say 12?
4. 4 is it.
You're going to write 4 ROs?
But we're going to have good quality ROs.
Oh my gosh, how good would those ROs be?
They'd be perfect. It's so fun.
You'd have the highest hours per RO, the best satisfaction, everything.
It'd be amazing, right?
So, depending on the car line,
Yeah.
it's anywhere between 10 and 14.
Yeah, you could make a case that some are less than 10, but 10 to 14's.
Now, if you have a quick lube, you're a moron. Because you probably have your least talented advisors riding the most cars, and it's a chase to the bottom. They don't make enough in gross to cover their pay.
Right.
You can't keep them around. You have the turnover in quick lube techs after 2 years is something like 60%. It's out of control. And the quick lube advisors don't even pay for themselves.
It's a talk about broken systems. That's
systems and money losing opportunity.
Yeah.
It is a money losing opportunity. So in our system, we like to spread the ROs out amongst all the advisors, spend more time with each customer, whether it's an oil change or not, still pet the dog, get to know them, build trust. Think about it as that opportunity with the oil change is usually where we lose the retention and they never come back. Let's actually make that an experience that they enjoy. They feel like we care. They feel like they can trust us. We're their friend, and not just run them in and out like cattle. Right?
Yep.
And it doesn't have to take any more time. You can still do it in 30, 45 minutes and do it the right way. But you can't do that if you got these poor kids riding 25 a day, just stacked up, and you're thinking, well, they're just oil changes. Yeah, look at all that opportunity going through your hands.
Yep.
Like literally these cars go through the quick lube, they're leaking oil, they need tires, their brakes are metal to metal, and nobody's saying anything. And I know a lot of you listening are like, nope, not in ours.
It's happening.
Hogwash. It's happening everywhere.
Hogwash.
I wanted to say something else, but I don't want this to be an explicit show. This is a family show.
Right. Always has been.
Clearly.
Speaking of families, so I was with my kid the other weekend, and he was reading, and he's like, can you give me a bookmark? And shame overcame me because he's 8 years old, and he still thinks my name's Mark.
Pretty good.
Thanks.
It's funny. So why do you think people think advisors can write too many? Why are we not focused on the experience and the end result, the average per ticket, the quality of the experience with the customer?
Well, I think that in general, most service departments or leaders of service departments, maybe even general managers are thinking the same way. They're equating dollars to cars. And that is absolutely not how it should be. But they're thinking the more cars I get in, the more money I'll make.
It's exactly the opposite.
It is exactly the opposite. But their belief is that they got to get more traffic.
Here's the thing. If you can't have great satisfaction and a high average per ticket with less cars, by God, you're not going to do it with more cars. I don't know. Like, it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make sense to you either. You're just not paying attention.
Yeah. The other thing that the pandemic brought is like you were saying with the way that we split quick lube.
Brought the microchip vaccine.
Yeah, microchip Johnson & Johnson vaccine, exactly. So we're happy to have that for a few days. But the thing that I noticed was whether it was an oil change or an engine repair, those service centers were very happy to have that customer there. They finally, for the first time, saw both types of ROs as equals.
Yeah, think about it. The advisors are behind plastic. They're, it's less personal, but it was more personal.
The customers were valued because the alternative is that the store's closed.
And the customers had an appreciation for us that they probably didn't have, right? So the secret is slow down your RO count. Have a realistic expectation. Don't run all your customers through a quick lube with your least talented techs and least talented advisors thinking that that's a recipe for success. I don't care who the manufacturer is that's lying to you about that. It doesn't work. You want to slow the process down, spread it out amongst the advisors. You're gonna have higher average per tickets. You're gonna have less comebacks because we're actually fixing it while they're there and not waiting for 2 weeks for the hose to pop or the tire to go or whatever, right? So we're gonna avoid comebacks, and we're gonna build trust, and customers are gonna come back, and our retention is gonna go up. Slow it down. If we learned anything from this pandemic, is we can slow it down and have a higher average per ticket, right?
There's no doubt.
Let's go to your questions. Now remember, if you call in and we play your question on the big show, on the Service Drive Revolution, we will send you some swag. And the phone number, get ready to write this down. The phone number, if you have a question, 8333-ASK-SDR. That's 8333-ASK-SDR. And it doesn't always have to be about the service drive. If you want to know my thoughts on the salary cap in the NFL, you need relationship advice, parenting, whatever it is, feel free to call in. The one thing I don't know a lot about is the cryptocurrency.
Oh, I'm learning. I just signed up over the weekend.
People want to talk a lot about that.
Yep.
I keep getting texts from people, you buying cryptocurrency? I know people that have made a lot of money in it, but I'm not in it. I don't know about it. I'm spending my time doing other things.
Yeah. There's other things to be done.
But I'm sure you can make money in it if you know what you're doing. My personal opinion about cryptocurrency, I don't like it.
Hogwash?
No, I think the American dollar, should be preserved at all costs. And I don't think we should be letting people do
Were you trying to explain
any sort of other currency besides the dollar.
Didn't you say that you feel like all cryptocurrency is actually based around the dollar anyways?
Until it isn't.
Okay. I don't know when that is.
Me neither, but I wouldn't allow it. If I was president, there's something you'd never hear me say. If I was president.
Oof.
Can you imagine all that brain damage for $400,000?
All the stuff that comes with that? No, thank you.
You can't even go to the bathroom without somebody protecting you, right?
There'd be so much stuff out of my past that I didn't even remember happened that would come out.
Oh yeah, I'm not electable, for sure. Let's go to the question. We have a question. I think this question comes from Texas.
Beautiful Texas.
Should we move to Texas?
Yes. I mean, let's think about it.
This question is from, let me tell you his name. I wrote it down earlier. Greg. Hey, Greg, we might be moving to Texas.
Good morning, guys. My name's Greg. I'm with a small East Texas Chevrolet dealership. I've been here about 4 years, just over 4 years, and came in with no experience in the automotive industry. Came from a pharmacy background, and my service manager has been between two different dealerships. He's had a total of over 40 years, technician and service manager. He's kind of old and stuck in his ways, and I really want to, in the future, I want to be the service drive in our area that people want to go to. He's kind of, it is what it is. It's how it's always been, managed like we should. Most of the duties I perform, my dealer and general manager have made it known to me that they're grooming me to eventually be the service manager. And here in the near future, I'm working on moving up, crossing over from service advising to being fixed ops manager, or just working parts and service to help us get parts more profitable, or get profitable, period, because we lose money. And I've got two female service advisors with me right now. I'm trying to get them to handle all of it on their own, so I can go help parts more. I guess long story short, my question: what advice do you have for somebody that is being groomed up to be service manager or fixed ops manager in the future? And any tips or advice for that? I just got your books, the Million Dollar Service Advisor and the Irreplaceable Service Manager, so I'm going to read those a couple times and go from there. But I just want to know if there's any extra advice or tips or anything, something I should do extra on top of just my job plus some of the service manager job and helping out with parts. And I do have several key throwers, as we call them, that they want to come in and see me, but it's hard right now with having those key throwers and trying to transition them to the girls and kind of work over towards parts more. Any help would be appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, Greg, the first thing that I would say is I would be interested if you wanted to call into the show after you've read the books, because I think the books are going to answer a lot of questions, but you might have questions from it. But definitely the Irreplaceable Service Manager is going to give you a roadmap and a foundation. And a lot of it is about the customer experience, the systems, your strategy, your leadership, and how you manage. But, focus on profitability. I think the biggest mistake that service managers make is because the dealer or the general manager isn't talking about profitability. They think profitability isn't important. But we've seen, 50% turnover in service managers last year in some areas. And it's always about profit. And so the service manager isn't looking at the profitability. They're not asking to understand it. And they're driving the bus without a steering wheel or a front windshield for that matter, right?
Yeah.
So profitability and the customer experience are the two most important things in anything that you do.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is that, like you were saying with the high turnover, I would say learn as fast as you can because your chance might be coming faster than you might think. Like that turnover is unbelievable right now, and I think that they're just looking for people that understand the business portion of it, which as a group we've probably, as an industry, we've done the worst at, is teaching those service managers.
You'll get this from the book, but pay attention to your effective labor rate more than your hours per row. Your effective labor rate drives your profitability more than anything else. Yep. But thanks, man. We might be moving to Texas. What do you think? You're down for it?
I think there's a lot of benefits.
Okay, what did we learn today? We learned that customers don't know anything about the car. We're talking our lingo. We're talking about CV boots. They just want to know that they're going to get from point A to point B without an unexpected interruption or surprise.
Exactly right.
They just want the light off. They just want the noise to go away. They just want the grinding to stop, whatever it is. But we don't want to talk over their head. We want to talk about, in a lot of situations, you could talk about the noise and not the thing, and they would understand more. We confuse them, and we lose sales by confusing them, because once they're confused, they want other answers from somebody else. So that's when they're going to call and they're going to shop around, right? We also talked about you can't be successful making your advisors write too many customers. They're only human. And it's rare that an advisor can write 20 a day and perform at a high level. It's closer to 12 or 14. We need to slow it down. We need to focus on the experience, building trust with the customer, following up, over-communicating. One of the biggest reasons customers don't maintain or repair their cars is because we wait until the end to tell them, or we just put it on the RO. Because when I call on declines, and somebody was telling us this on a call the other day, right? They're like, hey, I actually called on the declines, and you didn't believe what the customer said. And I said, no, I know what the customer said. Yep. They said, you didn't tell me until I was coming to pick it up. What? I need what? I never saw that. And it was on the paperwork, but the advisor never communicated to him. That's our fault as leaders. We're asking too much. We need to slow it down and focus on the experience.
Stuff.
I hope you had as much fun as we did.
I think everyone had as much fun.
We'll see you next time on Service Drive Revolution. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Service Drive Revolution. We're uploading new stuff every day, so make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon so you don't miss out. If you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show, call 8333-ASK-SDR and we'll answer your question on the show. That's 8333-ASK-SDR. For special deals on our books and training, head over to offers.chriscollinsinc.com. Now that's offers.chriscollinsinc.com. I'm Chris Collins, and I'll see you in the next video.